Good morning, gardening friends. Today is Sunday, August 13th. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning and about 80 degrees and muggy. It's been a hot week. Of course, August is always hot. And I'm just sitting out on the back deck having my morning coffee. Miss Mimi wanted to come out. She doesn't get much of a chance to come outside anymore. She doesn't like this hot, hot weather. She'll go out about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is the hottest part of the day. She'll insist upon going out. And you can see her seize up. She shivers when the heat of the day hits her. So she runs outside, scratches on the little rug, and then runs back to the door and meows to come back in. Oh my goodness. Coffee's good today. You can see I've got my deep woods off and my new John Deere tractor. I went antiquing this week and fell in love. Reminds me of my childhood, although this one's plastic. It's a little bit too new to make my childhood, but it reminds me of it. I've seen a lot of people put fairy gardens in their backyard, so I thought I might do a sand garden and put the little tractor inside of it. It's plastic. Oh, by the way, I put the off outside just as a little aside. Last week I had said I used the deep woods off. It's the only thing that keeps mosquitoes off of me this time of the year. Well, I learned something about deep woods off. I bought a new leather recliner from Lazy Boy. And I was all hot and sweaty, having just come in from outside last week. I went to edit my video. And I threw a coverlet over the top of the chair because I knew I was hot and sweaty, but my arm protruded beyond. And when I touched the leather, my arm sort of stuck to the leather. And when I pulled my arm up, I noticed it had discolored my new leather chair, as in like less than 2 weeks old. Really ticked me off. So be careful if you use the deep woods off, not to touch leather furniture with it. I was able, since it is a leather chair, I was able to eventually buff it out. There's a slight mark there that only I will know. I touched it up with shoe polish, the old-fashioned buff-out kind. Here, everything has been growing nicely. I don't think anything died last week. We are in need of some rain. I've been watering every day. And in this real hot, hot weather, when it gets near 100, I also water the roof of my house. The one good thing about having a bungalow is that you can reach the top of your house from the ground. And that does actually cool the attic down quite a lot as the water evaporates. You can see the dew is still on the grass. Everything is looking very verdant and lush. Oh, I should say, here in Zone 8B, I live in Mobile. I was quite shocked last week, because I never measured it before. But I was out watering late in the day and got splashed with some of the water from the hose and noticed how warm it was. And I actually took a thermometer, a human thermometer, and ran it under my cold water. And the cold water at about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon was running 93 degrees. Not very cold, but cooler than hot, I guess. Everything here is still growing, looking nice, lush and green. There's not been a lot of change in the backyard. There are a few things of note that I'll point out. The big news is in the front yard, which we'll be heading off to shortly. Here you can see how tall my pecan has grown. I did see that I have a sprout of a loquat in my front yard, and I may plant that back here as well and see which one of the two trees does the best. There you can see my datura that I got from seed is starting to grow. Oh, and it turns out my angel's trumpet is a yellow one here. They weren't certain when I bought this angel's trumpet what color it was going to be, but it was such a beautiful plant, and I needed something tall here quickly because of the tree being taken out earlier this year. There's Miss Mimi loving her cat track around the monkey grass. This Ozark plum has done spectacularly well this year. I'd say it's already 8 foot tall. And when I bought it, it was about to here. So it's about tripled in height the first year. And it's starting to look just about the size that the Meyer lemon was when the Meyer lemon died. Here you can see the smaller bananas are starting to come into their own. I did notice here it's kind of an odd year because here I've got my kumquats getting ready for Thanksgiving, but you'll also see flowers. It's kind of unusual to see both the fruit and the flowers on the same tree, but it is just loaded with kumquats. So I'll be ready for Thanksgiving. Also, my knockout roses have stopped blooming, and I didn't pick them clean, and you can see I have the yellow knockouts because of the scent they have. They also produce nice little rose hips if you let them, if you don't deadhead them. My crinum lily has finally stopped blooming. Oh, I did want to mention, I planted my new toad lilies that I had got this year. I planted one here and the other one over here. And this one actually has a bud. I don't know if it's actually going to bloom, but it'll be interesting to see what colors they are because I got a mixed color container. So don't know what colors they're going to be. I haven't worked on cleaning this out yet, but here's the other toad lilies that were planted in the ground, and I do need to free them up some. The hydrangeas, Nico Blue, do look nice. I may try cutting some. I saw in a YouTube video how you can prolong the life of a hydrangea, and I just need to go to the grocery store and get some, but they said to cut them and dip the cut end in alum, which is a cooking compound. I don't have any, so I'll have to buy some, but it's worth trying. This is looking very jungle-like in here. I'm very pleased with the way it's turned out. Here you can see a few satsumas on this tree. It's not really loaded, but it has a few in the lower quadrant of the tree. This other satsuma has no fruit, but then it bore a lot of fruit last year. My gara is still doing well. Probably because I found the receipt that I used to buy them from Lowe's. Meaning that if they did die, I could get my money back. That urged them on to do better. And I don't know what happened to this sedum, but it absolutely looks pitiful. If I could find something else to replace it with, I will. But yet, the cuttings I took from that same sedum have done extremely well planting them elsewhere. That stuff is extremely easy to propagate. I mean, you could pinch just about an inch of it off, and within a year you'll have a large plant. Still have my Lenten rose, although it's now starting to fade. My mandevilla is still looking nice, as are the sweet potato vines. And my air potato is looking good. I didn't see any other... Oh, there's one of the potatoes. That's what an air potato looks like. And it will have more. And you can plant those potatoes next year and a new plant will come. Or if they fall to the ground, a new plant will grow. And in the ground, underneath these two vines, I planted potatoes, I want to say about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And they come back every year, whether you want them to or not. So therein lies the rub. Be careful when you plant an air potato. That angel's trumpet is looking really nice. No, Miss Mimi, you can't come out front. Here you can see the spent flowers of the Rose of Sharon. I do like the way it drapes over my sidewalk. Ooh, I just heard a hummingbird go by. This Rose of Sharon, of course it's in the shade. It has sent up a sprig this year. This is all new. Ooh, a stink bug on the top. It's got a bunch of flowers on it. Ooh, there's a wasp. I do have a wasp's nest. I think this year they decided to make a nest in my dining room window. You can see the little nest there. They don't bother me and I let them live. They're not hurting anything. And this satsuma tree, which has never produced yet, looks like it's going to do really well this year. Out front, my Australian tree fern is growing nicely. You can see the sun does burn it when it gets really hot. You can see some of the new branches, which are more tender, got crisped up. I could prevent that by misting, but I'll just let nature take its course. My lilies of the Nile are still blooming. My potager is still looking okay for this time of the year. I'll tell you what, my okra have produced and produced this year. Oh, there's a dead okra pod. Yeah, I'll take it off another time. I planted 2 gingers and only one grew. The other one sprouted and then eventually died out. But there's a ginger plant back in here. I just got that from the local grocery store. The bees do like the Tradescantia, or spiderwort. Of course, the big news, it's been a couple of weeks since I brought you all out here, and work may be concluded this week. We'll see. If not this week, it'll be next week on the street. They actually put sod down yesterday or the day before and have finished. I have a culvert now. But here you can see I now have a sidewalk. Just need to keep the sod watered. I've got to work at this a little. This is the spot where I used to have the big oak tree. And they ground the roots down, but I do realize that the roots are still under there. So what I may do this year is I have a big pot. I may just put a big pot there and plant something in the big pot. But this is a nice view looking through here. But I will have to do something with this end. I need to clean these aspidistras up. This is what happens when you skip 1 year of cleaning up aspidistra. They do burn a little bit in the bright sun, but it'll need to be cleaned out. And when you have this much aspidistra, the way you clean it out is you grab a leaf and yank it. Now I realize if you don't have a lot of aspidistra, you may wince at that, because aspidistra can be expensive and you may want to go around and just cut them with a pair of snips. However, that's too much trouble when you have this much. So I just go through and yank and get the dead out that way. Let me stick this aspidistra back in there. One more dead leaf is not going to be noticed. So yes, I'm excited. It's getting close to being finished. They did grind up some of the asphalt this week. They have to grind the other side of the street up, and there's still sidewalk that needs to go in across the street from me. Half of it's in, but they had to be decorative. Rather than doing a straight sidewalk, they decided to curve it to go around the base of the large pole. And so the curved part they've not dealt with yet. And back in here, I'm just keeping things alive, which is not hard to do. Everything's established, so really it doesn't wilt. That's kind of what you do with an established garden, especially in this heat, is I will walk around every morning and see what's wilted. And really what you do, or what I do at least, is just water what's wilted. You don't need to water everything. I make sure that the bird bath has water in it and water whatever else is wilted. This is an opportunity. I got rid of my cucumber and I have a patch of bare ground. So 2 things I'll be looking at this week. I'm going to try to find something to fill this spot, as well as something to put in the big pot by the street. Ooh, the bananas look fabulous from this point of view with the sun shining on them in the morning. Even they get burned. You can see the burn on the leaves. When it gets to be 100 degrees, a lot of things burn. Oh, and I will show you one last thing. Have another visitor that set up home between Sarah's house and mine. The banana spider. Last year I did a little short on Anna the banana spider. Well, she's back. And it is huge. I mean, this is my hand compared to it. But it doesn't hurt anything. It certainly doesn't bite. The only thing it used to hurt was it was detrimental to my glasses before I had my cataracts removed. I don't need to wear glasses anymore. But every now and then I'd walk into a web and get freaked out and brush the web off, and in the process of doing that, usually knock off my glasses, which will always fall glass side down on a sidewalk or on a stone. It's just a fact of nature. So I don't have to worry about that anymore. I need to take cuttings from this particular coleus. I don't have any cuttings from it yet. I took cuttings from the green coleus and or chartreuse coleus, and they came out so every one of them took. I put them in a pot. They looked so good that I thought I'm just going to keep them in the house and have them be inside coleus, so that way there won't be any shock. Because if you bring these in for the winter, they may die back a little. So this way, if they never leave the house, it won't be an issue. Now let's see where Miss Mimi is, because undoubtedly she's going to want to go back in the house. Usually she'll sit by the back door. Oh, she's on the deck. Mimi, are you ready to go in? Yeah? Okay. Well, have a good week. Stay cool. Stay hydrated. Till next time.